Hello, hello, and let us begin. Flirt like a goddess, week 1. It's a biology class that we are going into today. Understanding the energetic difference between the masculine and feminine energies so that you understand how to talk to the opposite sex and come across as a sexy, confident lady instead of needy and possessive. Knowing how to support a man with your words so that he picks you over the other girls he is dating. And finally, understanding once and for all what really turns a man on so you can stop guessing what to do, say, or wear on a first date. I am Emerald Sinclair, your host this evening. I'm a love and relationship coach, and my purpose, my mission, my reason that I am here on this planet is to help as many women as I can manifest soulmate level love. And I'm sure one day I'm going to work with the other half of the population, men, and I've actually had requests to do so, but I jokingly said, hey, one half of the population at a time, please. So my mission is to help you manifest that soulmate level love. And how do we do it? Well, quite simply, it starts from within, and we will always attract in that exact opposite and reciprocal of who we are. And so this entire training of Flirt Like a Goddess is not going to be a training where I'm just teaching you dating tips and how to look prettier, which doesn't hurt, of course, but truly it's going to be getting into your essence and your core. Because when you change who you are and what you think about yourself and how you speak about yourself and the energy you put out into the world, that's your goddess energy. That's your feminine radiance. And that will attract in your masculine counterpart. So before we begin today, before we jump into it, I actually want to start with an intention and a tiny little meditation. Why? Because that's a big part of who I am. And setting the intention, creating that sacred space, that circle for this journey that we're going to go on over this 4-week period is very, very important. And then the meditation bit, just a short little meditation to help us ground in and connect with our beautiful feminine radiance. All right, does that sound good? And also before we begin, I have to make this announcement because I'm really excited. My group coaching program, Single to Soulmate, it's a 4-month group coaching program where we're going to dig so deep into everything I'm teaching you tonight. The doors open tonight. And so at the end of this part 1 of our Flirt Like a Goddess class, I'm offering you a special opportunity to be part of that program. So stick around for the end if it fits into your schedule, and I hope it does. All right, so people that are jumping on, as you're joining us, please feel free to throw some hearts in the comment box to say who you are and where you're from. I love reading the comments. I'll do my best to answer any questions as we go along, because I know this is one-sided. So feel free to type in any questions you have as we go along. If you have any type of like, woo, woo, heavens, yes, Emerald, type that in. If you want to throw me some hearts, I will take some hearts. If there's any aha moments or reflections, or if somebody even wants to be note taker, because I sent you all out a workbook before we began, and I don't know about you, but it helps me to stay focused and actually pay attention if I have a workbook that I'm filling out as I go along. So please feel free to have your workbook open as well. And if you want to type any of those notes into the comment box, it is going to help ladies that are watching the replay. Okay, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in my notes before we actually ground down and get ready for the presentation. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Okay, so let's begin. Put your cell phones away, stop multitasking, whatever it is you're doing. Give yourself, oh my gosh, Sasha wants to say hi. She's jumping up on my chair. Give yourself this space. Like, this is for you. You signed up to be here, or you're watching the replay. So this is your sacred space. This is your sacred circle. And that's my intention. My intention is to create a beautiful sacred circle where you will receive exactly what it is that you need to receive tonight. And for all of you, it's going to be different. But my intention is that you receive exactly what you need to receive tonight. Okay? Yay. So that's my intention for you. Now, let us begin with a very simple grounding meditation. So get comfy, uncross your legs, and put a little Sasha Bear down on my lap. Close your eyes and just take a couple of deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that again. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. And allow your entire body to relax. Continue to breathe deep and let go of your day. Let go of your to-do list. It'll be there later. Continue to breathe. Inhale through the nose. And this time exhale through the nose. And as your body becomes more and more relaxed and centered and present in this moment, I want you to imagine that you're in a room. And you're in the most beautiful room you have ever seen in your life. Every detail is taken care of. From the type of carpet that's on the floor to the pictures that are on the wall. It's as though everything is sparkly and shiny and you don't quite understand where all this beautiful furniture came from, but you love it just the same. Continue to breathe. And in the corner, you see a beautiful full-length mirror. It's a mirror that you would love to have in your bedroom. But I'll let you in on a little secret. This is no ordinary mirror. It's a mirror that shows only truth. You slowly make your way up to the mirror. It's shiny, it's sparkly. It almost shimmers like water. And as you step in front of the mirror, you see your reflection and you gasp. You've never seen yourself look so beautiful and so radiant. And as you stand there in front of your reflection, you smile. You look yourself in the eye, the same eyes you've had since you were a little girl. And you feel giddy inside because you finally see your true beauty, your radiance. It's as though you have a light from within that's shining out of each and every pore. And as you stare at your reflection, you think to yourself, yes, finally, I remember this is the real me. And just take a couple more deep breaths here. Feel the peace, the love, the beauty that's radiating out from your reflection in the mirror. And then perhaps blow yourself a little kiss, give yourself a little wink. Tell yourself you'll be back to give yourself a little bit more love later on. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And when you are ready, beauty, open your eyes. Alrighty, I hope you liked that. Lydia says hello. I hope I said your name right. Simia, where do you find the workbook? It is in your email reminder that went out 1 hour ago. So check your spam. Just do a little search for Emerald, EMYRALD, and you'll find it. All right, so now we are grounded in, we are centered, we are in our beautiful goddess energy, and that meditation right there, you can do it anytime. I find the mirror work, the visualization in my mind of seeing myself in my most radiant version helps. It like lifts my energy for the rest of the day. And sometimes I'll see myself in the mirror and say, what do I need to hear? And then my reflection just goes on and on and on and on with how beautiful I am and how amazing I am and how happy I am to see myself. So use that exercise whenever you need to get in touch with your goddess self and to feel that goddess energy. All right. So, Simia got it. Good. Yes. All right. So hopefully we all have our workbooks to help you as you go along. They're not complicated workbooks by any means, but to just help you keep track of the information as we go. Now, first period, understanding the energetic difference between masculine and feminine energy. Why do we need to know this? Because in case you didn't know it, men and women are very different. And disclaimer, doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. The masculine and feminine energy is important and pertinent because we have, Lydia, I did say your name right. Yes. So we have both masculine and feminine energy within us at all times. And in general, many women are feminine and many men are masculine. And like John Gray says, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. This is absolutely true. And a lot of times we go at things the wrong way when we're trying to attract in the opposite sex, or if you're gay, you're trying to attract in the opposite energy of the same sex. And we make mistakes because we think that we need to treat men the way we treat ourselves and vice versa. So for the sake of argument and to make everyone's life easy, I'm giving this next 4 weeks as if you're a heterosexual woman looking to attract in a heterosexual man, but trust that everything I'm teaching can work for everybody. So now that that's out there. So understanding the energetic differences between masculine and feminine is going to help, because then when we go into, well, then how do you talk to the opposite sex? How do you support a man with your words? How do you understand what turns them on? You'll understand it more from that masculine point of view. And so you'll be able to step in and embody your feminine, which is highly sexy to a masculine man, and vice versa. As a feminine woman, you're so attracted to the masculine aspects and sides of men. So here we go, ladies. Let us begin. When I'm looking down here, it's because I'm referring to my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So the masculine energy, think of it this way. It's a straight line from A to B. That's masculine energy. It's very goal-oriented. It has sharp corners and angles. It goes in one direction and it tends to take its time getting there, which can frustrate the heck out of me with my man, right? It's like, do, 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 do. So it's very focused. It's step by step by step. I need to get from A to B, and that's it. Like, that's what I can focus on. One thing at a time. Whereas the feminine energy, if she's going from A to B, it's like, I made it. So the feminine energy is much more in the flow. It's much more about feelings. You're not really trying to force anything. You're being receptive. And so overriding differences between both the energies, and there's no right or wrong or good or bad or one's better than the other. Quite honestly, we have them both. We need both of these energies in our life at all times. All right, we need masculine energy, we need feminine energy, but the beautiful thing is they complement each other nicely. Masculine energy is the moon. Masculine rules the left side of the brain, so it's the logic, the thought, the risk, the rush. Girl, 1 second, she wants out. What? You gonna go out there? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Swear, it's like having kids. Okay. So whereas the feminine energy is the sun. It's radiance, it's warmth, it's the ability to bring life into this world, right? And so femininity, on the other hand, rules the right side of the brain, which has to do with being, understanding, feeling, and nurturing. So hopefully you're still with me here, right? Like both of these energies, we've got them both. In order for you to actually go out and have and keep a job, you need to be in your masculine energy. And the trick is, or the trouble is, a lot of us women get stuck in our masculine energy. And that's the complaint I hear a lot from a lot of you in my Facebook group, from my private clients, people on my mailing list. It's, how do I get in my feminine energy? Because we can take care of ourselves. We can hold the same jobs as men. We can make the same money as men. We can have kids and bring home the bacon, right? So how do we learn to be in that feminine energy to attract in the masculine energy? So let me give you a couple more notes on masculine and feminine, because this is something that can be, I don't know, challenging for some people. Masculine energy, singularly focused. It's physical rather than subtle. Masculine energy is all about doing, creating, almost like forcing. You know, you wake up and you have this huge to-do list. That's masculine energy. I'm going to do it. Whereas the feminine energy is about softness, receptivity, the expansiveness, intuition, tapping into things that you can't necessarily see with the naked eye. And so the feminine is about being versus doing. The feminine is about allowing. So if you had a huge to-do list, the feminine energy would wake up and meditate and put herself in divine reception. That's not to say that you're not going to get everything done on your to-do list, but the feminine energy is much more about allowing. All right. So it's much less focused on see, accomplish, take over, which is why, my humble opinion, I think a lot of wars are led by men, because it's masculine energy. I must conquer, I must achieve, I must do. Whereas the feminine energy is, well, let's have a roundtable discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Let's feel into it. Let's not make any rash decisions. That wouldn't, I'm not going to go down that train of thought actually right now. So men's anatomy, out. Masculine energy, out. Penetrating, giving. Feminine anatomy, we've got innies, receptive, receiving. All right. Now, if you have too much masculine energy, you can actually be controlling. Like you're overbearing. You have the impulses to control everything in your environment. You try to manage everyone else in your life and try to take charge without them saying yes or no. And I've been guilty of this as well. And my man puts me in check when I am becoming too controlling or too overbearing. He's like, girl. He doesn't say that. I'm the one who says girl. But he certainly gets a little bit fussy if I become too masculine, because guess what? He's the masculine energy, I'm the feminine energy. And so that's my reminder to sink back into the feminine and trust and allow. A good example of showing too much masculine energy is when a woman can't slow down and relax. Like she might have a super clean home, or she might work too much. Like she's just trying to tend to others' needs more than her own. And so when a woman is too much in her masculine, she's being of over service to others. She's trying to do too much, which, raise your hand if this is you or you've been guilty of that being you. Like, feel free to comment in the box like, yep, been there. And same with me. I mean, I run my own business and I have to put myself in check to remember to take off my proverbial pants at the end of the day and be in my feminine. Now, back to the feminine energy. Once again, it's about being receptive. It's about being present and not necessarily directing the flow of events. If you think of a dancing couple, the man is leading, the woman is following. All right. So maybe that analogy will stick. And once again, I know this is really challenging for women in today's day and age, but if you can, on a daily basis, just put yourself in check and ask yourself, am I giving more than I'm receiving? Yeah. Samia's like, me, exactly. Like, am I giving more than I'm receiving? Am I trying to control the outcome of the events more than I'm just letting someone else lead the way? And it can be simple things when I'm like, if you're out on a date, allowing the man to open the door, allowing the man to give you his coat, right? Allowing the man to make the move. And this is something that takes time to cultivate and to remind yourself of, like, stop trying to control everything, because that's masculine. And even if just half of your day, you allow yourself to just be receptive to what's going on around you instead of trying to control it all. Now, there's a quote I like, which is, men and women are like your left and right feet. They're different, but you need them both to get from place to place. So this is also a reminder that you need both masculine and feminine energy. And you need especially that masculine energy when you're working, of course, when you're taking care of your kids. You don't just say, oh, I'm going to draw a bath, you all feed yourself, right? I mean, and so it's that flow between the two. We need the masculine, we need the feminine, but it's when we get way too caught on one side, which for a lot of women nowadays is getting caught in the masculine. So you're trying to control the date, you're picking where to go, you're picking up the check, you're the one that's calling, you're the one that's texting, like you're the one that's forcing and pushing and controlling. But truly, if I hope to teach you nothing more over this course of these 4 weeks, allowing yourself to be receptive. Stop trying to control everything in your life. And then people will say, well, Emerald, but what about manifestation? Isn't that about creating what you want in your life? Yeah, it's putting that intention out there of what you want. But the magic is in leaning back and letting go and trusting that the events are going to unfold. And so through this training, we're talking about flirting like a goddess and getting into your feminine energy and being receptive to the man saying, you look good, you smell good, you taste good, I want you. That's not your job to do, but to be receptive, to be open to his penetration. In not so many words, right? You're not the penetrating energy, you're the receptive energy. And that's the feminine. And that's so freaking hard for so many of us, myself included. It took me a while to learn how to do that. So I'm going to do my best in these 4 classes to teach you how to be in your receptive energy. All right, back to the feminine energy. So if you're not in enough of your feminine energy, you don't feel connected, you don't feel valued, you don't feel nurtured, you don't feel appreciated, your intuition just doesn't exist because you're way up here instead of down here. Whereas without the male energy, hold on. Okay, sorry, my notes confused me. Whereas if you don't have the male energy or not enough male energy in your life, you don't feel focused, you don't feel purposeful, you don't feel successful, you don't feel like you have direction. So once again, we need both of those energies, but we need that balance. So there's going to be times when you're more masculine and you're more focusing on your strength, you're more focusing on your goals, it's more purpose driven. And then there's going to be times when in your life you need to be so much more in your feminine. You need to relax. You need to stop making plans. You need to veg out on the couch. You just need to be more kind, more open, allow people to do things for you. So we're going to go through flows and periods in our life of both. Now, if you are being too feminine, and this happens a lot for women, you're a pushover. You're not speaking your truth. Someone asks you to do something, you don't want to do it, and instead of saying no, you say yes. And that's being too feminine. That's being too receptive. That's being too kind. That's being too caring. So as you see, that's why we need that balance, that divine balance of masculine and feminine in our lives, in our bodies on a daily basis. But when we're talking about attracting in the divine masculine, then truly the role for you is to be in your divine feminine when you're with him. But knowing when it's time to flip the switch and go back into your divine masculine. Does that all make sense? Does that give me like a yes or a thumbs up, anybody, if that like makes sense? If now you're understanding the difference between masculine and feminine, why you need both, and why it's important to be in your in a certain energy at a certain time, such as when you're flirting, versus being in an energy at a different time when you're working or when you need a break. So if that all makes sense, please comment in yes, yes, yes. Comment something in there. Okay, Denise says yes. Good. Stacy says yes. Good. Okay, at least 2 people are getting it. Anybody else? Are we feeling it? Do we have any more questions on that? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I love it. Okay. So now we understand that's the background that we need. And we need to logically understand the masculine and feminine and when to be in both. P.S. I'm drinking wine. Yes. I love you all so much. Good. I'm going to throw a little heart in there because I love you. And I apologize, we got cut off because I guess I'm not as technologically savvy as I thought. So I hope everybody comes back and joins me. Hold on, give me a minute for everybody to jump back on. Okay. All right, I apologize. I know now you're jumping on this video. I'm so sorry. I take full responsibility for that one. The big red button that says end broadcast distracted me from when I was trying to throw frickin' hearts in the comments because I was so excited that everyone was throwing out all these yeses. So I'm sorry. I hope you all jump on and I didn't lose you all. Okay, so let's continue and we'll shake that off. So going into the bulk of it, now that we understand the container of masculine and feminine energy, we can go into the three parts that I promised, right? So how to talk to the opposite sex, how to support a man with your words, and how to understand once and for all what really turns a man on so you can stop guessing what to do, say, where on a first date. Okay, all good, no worries. Thank you, ladies. I need my VA on these calls. Okay, so how to talk to the opposite sex to come across as a sexy, confident lady instead of needy and possessive. So I actually wanted to start this off in regards to what not to say and work in a roundabout way from there. Because there's certain ways that we as women can talk that are a huge turnoff for men. And to be completely honest, you're not in your goddess energy when you talk like this. You're actually needy, you're possessive, you're just coming across as unhealthy, unstable, and it's not desirable to a high quality man. And everything I'm desiring to teach you is how to be a high quality woman, not a needy woman that will say yes to any man who asks her out, not a woman that doesn't know what she wants, not a woman that doesn't understand her boundaries. And so there's a certain way of talking that is a big no-no in a way, or it's a big red flag for a high quality man. Similarly to if men said certain things to me, I would know right then and there, like, oh, no, 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 bye-bye, move on. So the 5 traits that turn men off. Now, if you're on your workbook, we're probably on page 2. I don't have the workbook open, but the 5 traits that would turn men off. And so it's 5 ways of speaking and things to bring up in conversation that I suggest you do not do. The first one is just neediness in general. And what makes you appear needy? Well, it's things like checking your emails and texts 24/7. It's things like relentlessly saying, I miss you. It's checking in on him a million times a day. It's asking where he's been, right? It's throwing temper tantrums when you don't get his full attention. So all of these behaviors and more are needy. They're just needy. They're saying, I'm not secure without you. I need you to validate me. I need you to tell me that I'm good enough, that I'm pretty enough. I need you to respond to my texts and my emails. And we've all been guilty of it, myself included, or you freak out when he doesn't reply. But know that these behaviors, they do come across as needy. They come across as a woman who is not secure in herself. And quite honestly, the more personal growth work you do, the more self-love development that you do, you'll naturally sway away from being needy because you're so confident in yourself. If he doesn't call back, you'll say to yourself, whatever, doesn't matter. Someone else better will come along. He must not have been the one. Instead of obsessing over him, you'll realize, doesn't matter at all. So instead of those things that we just said, I would suggest, if you're new to dating a guy, it's just things like ask him how his day was, listen to the reply. If you're in person, make eye contact and just be present, right? Simple as that. So if you notice yourself getting into like those needy tendencies, which is being overbearing, which a lot of men find unattractive, especially because they're in their masculine energy. and they're singularly focused and they've got a lot of shit to do, like they're not as good as bouncing back and forth between work and text and work and emails and work and my lady and work and she wants my attention. Again, that's not how they work. Remember, they're A to B. Savannah, what about when he's the one that initiates all the texting and expects immediate responses? Ooh, good question. Okay, so I'm going to divert from that. When he's the one initiating the text, that's good. He's in his masculine energy, so you're in your feminine. But guess what? If he expects immediate responses, this is an opportunity for you to stand clear in your boundaries as far as what works for you, right? Do you want to be available to respond immediately, or do you need to take time to respond? And I've seen this, I usually see this happen the other way, where the woman's texting the man and he's not replying for a couple of days, in which case I advise the woman to just say, hey, you've got every right to take your time and respond to your text, but I just want you to know that actually I expect replies from my texts, from my friends, from my family, from people that care about me within 24 hours, within 48 hours, within 5 hours, like whatever feels good to you. So in this case, with it being the opposite, instead, I would have that conversation of, hey, I just wanted you to know that I'm really busy during the day. I usually don't check my phone. So, don't freak out. I'm not ignoring you. But in general, I probably am not going to get around to texting you until at night and sometimes the next day. And if he's not comfortable with that, he's needy. He's immature. He's too attached. He needs too much hand-holding and attention, in which case I wouldn't view him as a healthy match. Whereas a healthy match should be able to receive that conversation healthily, that, oh, okay, I get it. You're just really busy. So you're just going to text me back later. And maybe you even make an agreement like, hey, if it's really important, call me and leave me a message and I'll do my best to check it when I can. But ultimately, like, I'm just not available from 8 to 5 because I am at work and I'm in it, or whatever it is. Like, just speak your truth about that in a very kind way. And then where is the workbook? The workbook was sent out in the email reminder about an hour ago. If you didn't, here, let me just drop in the link. If you hadn't officially signed up and you're just joining us from Facebook, that's obviously totally cool. But go to that website, type in your name and email, and when you instantly get the email that says welcome, it has the download for the workbook in it. All right, so great question, Savannah. So 2, right? So we're in the 5 things, like not to say, not to do. The second thing is insecurity. And this comes across in the form of certain types of questions. And it's going to be things like, do I look fat in this? Do you still love me? Is she prettier than me? Were you just checking her out? Did you miss me today? So little things like that scream insecurity. And how would you feel if your man was seeing shit like that to you? It wouldn't feel good. It would just be like, ew, stop it. It's creepy. And once again, a woman in love with herself, a woman secure with who she is, she doesn't need that outside validation from a man. And the whole point of this training is to help you raise your vibration and to truly imbibe your goddess energy to attract in an amazing match. And guess what? An amazing God-like match is not going to put up for that shit. And he's probably going to call you out on your BS and say, stop. Yeah, I noticed a beautiful woman walking by. What's the problem? Baby, you do not look fat in that, but the other pair of jeans looked better on you, right? Like, a strong, powerful man is going to call you out on your BS just as much as you're going to call him out on his BS. But avoid those insecurities, because that drops your vibration. And quite honestly, it's not going to be a match for a man that's way up here. So those insecure questions, it's like, I know it can feel good to be complimented by a man, but not because you're reaching for it and you're pulling it out of him. Instead, that feminine energy, it's receptive. Look good, smell good, taste good, smile good, wink good, flirt good. Give him every opportunity to compliment you and be receptive. Another mistake women make, they deflect compliments. That's not being in your feminine when you deflect compliments. So it's time to start practicing receiving compliments, receiving attention. If a man walks down the street and if a man walks down the street and smiles at you, smile back. receive it. That's part of your homework for the next week. So write that down in your notes somewhere. You're going to practice receiving energy and receiving attention, which is also something hard for women. Like, we don't make eye contact. We're so scared that someone's going to ask us out that we're not interested in. Well, guess what? Take it as a compliment and say, thank you so much. I'm not interested, or I'm not dating right now, but thank you. Oh my gosh, you just made my day. Thank you. Happens to me all the time. And I'm just like, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm in a relationship, but you just made my day. Thanks for the compliment. I hope you have such a great day. Some woman's going to be so lucky with you one day. And then you just boosted him up and you did the entire world a favor. Third one, not listening. And unfortunately, as women, we do this a lot. And it's not sexy, it's not strong, it's not powerful, it's not goddess-like. Because once again, if goddess energy is receptive, not listening is interrupting. It's saying things like, in other words, it's trying to fix him or fix it. And it's not making eye contact. It's like being somewhere else. So there's not much more I actually need to say about that one. Like, like if you're not listening, if you're not being present, if you're not being receptive, you're in your masculine energy because you're working out in your mind what to do, what to say, how to be. But instead, like, be present, make eye contact, and just fully listen. Samia, what about if you're considered too friendly? Bullshit, says who? Seriously, says who? Like, give me some more on that. I am friendly. I'm a flirt. My partner knows this about me, but I have boundaries. I don't allow it to go too far. I like the play of the energy between masculine and feminine. And I don't think there's such a thing as being too friendly. If anything, I'd say the opposite end of the equation of being too shut off and shut down and scared of the world and scared of people and scared of their reactions. Only you know where you're coming from. So if you're being too friendly in order to get attention, that might be something you want to work on and look into. But if you're just a friendly person, like a puppy dog, like a golden retriever, I think that's beautiful, girl. And I think the man you attract in one day, he's also going to have a huge heart. And he's just going to like people, and he's going to like talking to strangers, and he's probably going to be awesome at sales because he's just friendly and he's genuine. So for you, if you're just a very friendly person, then also part of your homework, part of what you need to do, my dear, is get really comfortable with speaking your truth. Because in today's day and age, being really friendly can also be perceived as being too forward or aggressive. So if you know from your heart the energy you're putting off, and you know that you are legitimate, and you know that you're kind, and you know, like, I love you as a person, then if people take that energy the wrong way, then you have to get pretty darn comfortable in understanding how to maybe deflect unwanted attention, or to say things like, thank you so much for the attention, I'm not interested. And then if he's like, oh, well, you bitch, you were leading me on, then it's like, you know what? No. Like, I genuinely do care about you as a person. I think you're amazing. And I'm so sorry if you took my genuine attention and affection as flirting and interest in you, or going to go home and sleep with you. But that's not the case here at all. And Simia, I've found that over time, when you practice speaking your truth like that, the situations, whatever your story is that happens, those stories will start to fade away, because I've had similar scenarios. And the only thing that changed those scenarios from continuing to happen in my life was when I got comfortable speaking my truth. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, learn that lesson. Don't need to experience it again. Okay, you said got it. Perfect. And then the last two, jealousy. Why? Well, it comes from lack of self-love, and it pretty much shows lack of trust. That's not high vibe, right? Like, a true goddess would 100% trust her man, because she knows that her man is all about her. He can go off and fight a war for 6 months and he'll still come back to her. She trusts him. There's no room for jealousy, because she knows she is the bee's knees. She is the prize. And the only way to counter that jealousy, of course, is to do your own personal growth work, your own reflection of, like, where does this come from? Is there some forgiveness I need to have towards myself or others? Have I been betrayed in the past? And trusting that whatever issues you have around jealousy, it has nothing to do with your partner. Those are your issues. But jealousy is one of those things that come off as low vibration, as a huge red flag. And so if you're the type of person that gets extremely jealous in a relationship, I would actually suggest that you not be in a relationship until you get over your jealousy issues, like whatever issue that is that you need to heal. So if you're the jealous type, stop dating and figure out your shit, because you will never be in a high vibe, healthy relationship until you fall so in love with yourself that you trust yourself, you trust your man, you trust in the universe, you know that you are guided and protected. And then the last one, gossiping. It really goes along with everything else. It's low vibe, and men in particular, they don't gossip and they don't like it. I mean, if you want to discuss current events and talk to your girlfriends about what's going on in your life, sure. But gossiping comes from that energy of insecurity, of jealousy, of possessiveness, of neediness, of talking down upon. And so another part of your homework, part 2 over the next week, make a little note in your notebook, is being really conscious of your words and how you speak about yourself and how you speak about others. And are you talking down on others? Are you allowing that green-headed monster, whatever that jealousy analogy is, to rear its ugly face? Because ultimately, your goddess energy, she doesn't compare. There is no comparison to you and your goddess energy, because you are so beautiful and unique and divine exactly as you are. There is no need for you to be like her. In which case, if you're not trying to be like her, there's no need for gossiping or jealousy. It just doesn't happen, because you're stepping into your own power of, this is me, this is my divine energy, I'm my beautiful snowflake that I was put on this planet to be. And I understand this can take a while to step into that energy. It's the whole process of radical self-love. But just trust that the whole gossiping bit to men, they don't like it. That's not being a goddess. And those are things that are going to be big red flags for high quality men that are going to run the other way screaming. So those are 5 ways to not talk to the opposite sex. And we went into them, and I talked a little bit about what to do instead. Now, how do you talk to a man to support him with your words? If you go to the next page in your workbook, and when you are the woman that is supporting the man, and even if this is on a first date, you can stand out that he wants to call you back, that he doesn't want to go back on Tinder or Match.com or whatever dating site he's using. Because if you speak in a certain way, you will put yourself heads and shoulders above the rest of the women out there that are being needy and possessive and insecure and playing games. But that's not you. That's not goddess energy. Goddess energy is a woman sure of herself, understanding her worth and her value, but not only that, she's sure of the man she's sitting across the table from. She is supporting him. She is cheering him on. She is trusting him. Okay? And if you're with a man that you can't support and trust, the relationship is intimately flawed, because the masculine energy is the drive, it's the focus, it's the purpose. The masculine energy needs to have its thoughts respected. Whereas the feminine energy is receptive, it's the flow, it's nurturing, it's cherished. And ultimately, the feminine energy needs her feelings cherished. So it's more heart space, whereas the masculine energy is head space. So 3 things to keep in mind. The first one is offering him compliments. And I know that might sound silly, but I mean it. Offer compliments and mean it. Like, listen for different things that he's saying or doing or stories he's telling you that actually impress you. And let him know, instead of the like, wow, that's amazing. Instead, it's, holy cow, I'm so impressed. I cannot believe you backpacked Southeast Asia on your own for 3 months. I would have been so scared. You're so brave. And And I mean what I say, like say stuff like that. Or maybe he's telling you about a project at work. Things like, holy cow, that sounds so challenging. You must be really smart. You have an engineering degree? That is phenomenal. Please tell me more. Like, what does that mean? Okay. So truly, and I say this tongue in cheek, but men are kind of like dogs and they do like compliments. They like to know that they're doing good. And if you're too shy or scared and you're not being open and receptive, then he's not going to want to go out with you again. He's not going to want to pick you. If you're just being like the Sally nice girl and smiling like, wow, that's so amazing. Yay. I'll have another glass of wine. That's not as legitimate as that goddess energy of really hearing him and receiving him and reflecting back to him his strength and his power and his masculinity. Because a strong masculine man is sure of himself and he knows this, but guess what? Just like you, he wants to hear it. He wants his thoughts respected, just like you want your feelings cherished. And if I was giving this presentation to men, I would tell them like, you better cherish her heart. You better ask her what she feels about it. And you better do what you can to help her feel good, because if she feels good when she's with you, she'll never walk away. She'll never have an affair. She'll never think about another man. So the same thing with the men you're with. You want them to think that they're doing such a good job. They're excelling at life. They're excelling at their job. They're doing such a good job at being the man that you are with. And if you can help him to think like, man, I'm hot shit when he's with you, he's going to always want to be with you because you are inflating his masculinity, but in a good, sincere way. All right. So offering him compliments also stems from that feminine presence of you're actually listening and paying attention and you're being legitimate about what you're offering. Now, the next step, which actually these all kind of tie together, is asking him questions and showing that you're interested. Now, this is also showing respect. So if we talk about the dynamics of masculine and feminine, masculine wants their thoughts respected, which means ask his opinion on things. Sure, ask him questions about his life and his job. Number one, offer him compliments, inflate him on how awesome he is and how masculine and powerful and smart and competent. But when the masculine truly wants to know, like his thoughts are respectable, then that means you're asking questions like, well, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? You know, I was thinking about actually buying a house. What do you think about that? Or I feel like it's a good idea to quit my job and move to Bali. What are your thoughts, right? You're in not so many words saying, I really value your opinion. And especially in the very beginning, like on those first couple of dates, you want to set the energy dynamic from day one, which means you're the feminine and you want your beautiful heart cherished and adored, and he's the masculine, right? So if he's the masculine, he wants his thoughts respected. So part of what you can do to help yourself stand out and be in your feminine goddess energy is to respect his masculine energy. And that's by simply asking his opinion and listening and then reflecting it back to him. And then the last one, which is kind of the fun one, is men like to know they have won. It truly is a competition. And when I first started dating Ron, I was dating other men. And I told him straight up, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Because he, on our first or second date, said, I want to be monogamous. I want to see you. And he was in a different state. And I was like, oh, buddy, no. Like, I'm dating other men right now. I'm looking for a serious relationship, but I'm not confident I've found it yet. So you're one of many. And I was also clear. I'm like, hey, I'm not sleeping around, but I haven't made up my mind about you yet. And that competitive streak, let me tell you, he tried real hard to win me over. And so when you're dating men and we're talking about things to, what was it? Oh, how to support him with his words. Let him know in not so many words that he's won. And maybe it's things like, okay, so one of my favorite flirting tips to pass on to women is ask for his help for something really obvious. Like, let's say, I don't know, like the flowers are right there and I could grab them. And you'd be like, oh, could you give me that flower right there? And I mean, that's being flirtatious, but it's also asking for help. And then, he hands it to you. And you're like, oh, my hero. Thank you. You're so amazing. Same thing like when they open the door. I mean, you don't in so many words say you've won, but you put that energy out there of, oh, my hero. Thank you so much. You're so amazing. Like anytime a man opens the door for me, I straight up tell him, thank you. It's just so wonderful that men nowadays are still respectful and open the doors for women. And then I hope that that man continues to open the door for women and continues to be a gentleman. And so nowadays we need to support that masculine energy as much as we can, because left shoe, right shoe, both shoes are necessary. And as women, if we are getting too caught in our too caught in our masculine, we are not supporting the masculine energy in men by saying, well, I can do it myself, because of course you can do it yourself. But the trick is, if you want to be with a masculine man to love and cherish and support you, then you need to step back and allow yourself to be supported and cherished. And even though you could do it, you allow him to do it, and you compliment him on it, and you ask for his opinion, and you allow yourself, you practice being feminine. So another part of your homework over the next week until next Wednesday is to practice being feminine and receptive, to maybe think of occasions where you could ask for help from a man when you don't need it, but to just practice being more feminine, to practice receiving help, even though you don't need it, and adding these little tweaks to your daily life to your life on a daily basis will help. It will remind you, it will reset you to be in your feminine energy and to allow yourself to receive. All right. Any questions on that, my dears? Savannah, right now you mentioned wine. I noticed that most are turned off when I don't want alcohol. Why? They're turned off. Do you know they're turned off? Is it your own insecurity around it? Maybe you're dating insecure men and they think they have to get you a little tipsy in order to think they're funny. I mean, I pretty much look at everything in life as a direct reflection. And so if the men are turned off, is it because, one, you're being insecure and you're like, oh my God, I don't drink. They're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm a tight ass. And so you're reflecting that energy out to them and attracting in that same type. So that's how I always look at things. It's always a mirror. And I'm a big advocate of clear, open, honest communication from day one. And so if he seems turned off, I would ask straight up, oh, is it bothering you that I'm not drinking? And then you also open the door for conversation, such as, maybe you explain why you don't drink or why you're not drinking that night or whatever it is. And then it allows you to go deeper into it. And maybe then you find out right away he's not a fit. Maybe you had an alcoholic father and you're like, you never want to be around alcohol again, right? It's just the reaction. And I think everything's centered by alcohol. Well, I would just feel comfortable about it. If you don't drink, you don't drink. And quite honestly, I think your ideal match isn't going to give a damn. Ron actually doesn't really drink at all. We met in a bar, but he doesn't really drink. He was there with a friend. They were out of town visiting. So expand your mind. Anything's possible. If you don't really drink, I think your ideal man probably doesn't really drink either or doesn't care. He might be like, wow, that's so cool. Awesome. Good for you. Good job. So don't read too much into it and change your reaction around it. Depending how you're dating and putting yourself out there, maybe put in your profile if you're online dating and say, I don't really drink. Yeah, don't have the acquired taste. Exactly. So I wouldn't make it any big deal. Who cares? I've done so many cleanses in my life where I wasn't drinking, I wasn't eating gluten, I wasn't eating dairy, and many people didn't have an issue with it. But people that did, I would just explain, like, yeah, I'm on a cleanse right now, I'm doing it. And there's always going to be people in life that just don't understand. And if they don't understand the fact that you don't like to drink and your body doesn't react well to it, then next, move on. It shouldn't be an issue. And maybe it's one of your first conversations before you even go on a date, when you're talking about where to meet. Maybe instead you meet at a tea shop or a coffee shop. And so there isn't that expectation of drinking. Maybe you're doing a morning brunch date instead of an like, let's meet at a bar after work date. Maybe just making those slight adjustments might make a difference where, you don't have to worry about being expected to have a drink because it's 7 o'clock at night. So I get it. Understanding the final bit. Holy cow, it's already been an hour. I can't believe it. Time flies. Understanding once and for all what really turns a man on so you can stop guessing what to do, say, where on a first date. So 5 things. First one, confidence. Confidence is sexy, which means you're not talking bad about yourself. You're being super mindful of your words, and you're speaking about yourself like you would your best friend. All right. It's not sexy to deflect compliments. It's not sexy to like push yourself down, to dim your light so that others shine brighter. The goddess energy is all about, this is who I am, and I'm a divine expression of God and goddess, and I have nothing to apologize for. And so even if you're not there yet, you can at least fake it till you make it and not talk bad about yourself, not apologize for who you are. I have a friend, she says, I'm sorry on almost every single text. And I just stop apologizing. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you've been busy and you didn't reply. You don't need to apologize for that. So be confident. Confidence is truly sexy, and it's a big, big turn on. Second, know what you want and don't be scared to say it. So in one of my free ebooks, Land Prince Charming, one of the first steps I have you do is to make your Prince Charming list. And you take your Prince Charming list and you separate it into 3 lists. The first one being your non-negotiables, blank there for a minute. And those are things that he must have, or else you wouldn't give him a second date. And maybe, Savannah, you don't want to be with a guy that drinks. And so that might be your non-negotiable. Although if you don't really care, if he has a couple of beers, then it doesn't matter. It wouldn't be on the list. But let's say you're a non-smoker and smoking for you is a non-negotiable. And you're just like, I wouldn't want to be a smoker. Gross. So that's on my non-negotiable list. So you have your non-negotiable list, you have your heart's desire list, which is the things you want to have in common. Think about your best friend, right? You've got all these different things in common. And then the last list is the icing on the cake. And those are usually things like tall, dark, and handsome, and makes $1 million a year and has his own private jet. And so when we talk about knowing what you want and not being scared to say it, I coach my women that on the first date, you should find out if everything on your non-negotiable list that man sitting across from you fulfills. Because if he doesn't, you're wasting your time. You're both wasting your time, and you shouldn't even go on a second date. So part of your homework, if you go on a date over the next week, is you need to know your non-negotiables, and you better find out if he fulfills those or not. And so when you know what you want and you're not scared to say it, I did this with my man. And guess what? He really liked it. He respected it. He's like, wow, this woman knows what she wants. That's really awesome. And a man of low quality won't receive that well, and you'll easily be able to weed him out. Whereas a man of high quality will say, this is awesome. This woman knows what she wants, and she's not scared to say it. And then you'll know real soon if you're a good match or not. And then part 2 of that, 3, so we're on number 3 now on your workbook, is interviewing him. Because that's kind of like competition, and he'll love it. And when Ron and I first started dating, I asked him about his ex-wife. I asked him why they broke up. I asked him what his fault was in the divorce. I asked him what her fault was in the divorce. Essentially, it was like, hey, I know what I want in a man. I'm not scared to ask for it, because you're not going to get what you want if you don't ask for it. But I also want to know, why do you think you can be my man? What's your track history? What did you do wrong? Why did your last relationship fail? And like I said, he loved it. He viewed it almost as competition of holy crap, I better step up. Right? So this all ties into confidence, and it can be scary, but I promise you, high quality men love this. Low quality men run. And you find out real fast. And if you can do all this on the first date, oh my God, it's going to make your life so much easier to not waste your time with the men you shouldn't be wasting your time with. 4, leave some mystery and don't put it all out there at once. And the analogy I like to give is, if you went to a movie and in the first 10 minutes, they told you how it was going to end, would you stay for the rest of the movie? No, you would not, because you would know how it's going to end. So it's the same thing with dating. It's the same thing with being in your goddess energy. And part of the reason men love the feminine energy so much is because it's mysterious. It's unpredictable. You say one thing because that's what you feel, but then 10 minutes later you feel something else. And so it frustrates the hell out of men, but it also turns them on. It keeps them guessing and it keeps them coming back for more. So don't be scared to be mysterious, and don't be scared to change your mind, and don't be scared to be emotional. Instead, be in that feminine energy. A strong masculine man is going to freaking love it. They will, I promise. And the last one, this is more like the what to do. Make eye contact, smile, touch his arm, linger, don't get wasted and sleep with him. And there's a difference between like that sexual energy and attraction versus being slutty and too available. However, so I played matchmaker once for a couple of clients, a man and a woman. And I was like, oh my God, these guys would be great together. And so we double dated. Now, the problem was, though, the woman was being very available and flirty, and he was just being very kind of standoffish. And so partway through the date, she and I went to the bathroom, and she's like, I can't tell if he's interested. He was being too unavailable. He was being too, like, what's the word? I want to say too masculine, because he wasn't being too masculine, because a masculine man knows what he wants and goes for it. But he just wasn't giving off enough vibes. And turns out he really liked her. And towards the end of the night, it actually went somewhere, and now they're dating. It's been, gosh, I don't know, a year. So it worked out well. But I use that example in regards to if you're being too standoffish and you're not putting the vibe out, like, I like you, I'm interested in you, you're good. If you're being too like playing it cool, he's not going to know. Right? And so part of the feminine energy is to let him know that you're available and you're interested without seeming needy or possessive or jealous. And this is all going to energetically come out, but also verbally come out in how you present yourself. So that's today, and we covered a lot. Next Wednesday, as a reminder, is PE. How to be the woman who turns heads whenever she walks into a room, so that you have your pick of high quality and attractive dates. You learn how to use your feminine beauty and radiance to attract to you the man you desire, and you can feel confident and beautiful in your body always. So that's next week. Now, as I said at the beginning in the first video, my 4-month group coaching program that I'm opening the doors like right now. This is my premiere, like ta-da! And I invite you all to go check out the page that tells you everything that's in it. It's a 4-month process. You've got some time to think it over because the cart doesn't close until April 19th. But what I thought would be really awesome to do, there's almost 200 women in the Flirt Like a Goddess training, which is exciting. So what I wanted to do, if anybody in the Flirt Like a Goddess training here on like step 1, since I just opened the doors right now, signed up for Single to Soulmate between now and tomorrow night, what I'm going to do in May, I'm offering something I've never done before. I'm going to do a half-day online virtual retreat where all of us will be able to see each other, called Reawaken the Goddess Within. And so anybody in Flirt Like a Goddess that signs up tonight or tomorrow by midnight, you will have access to me. You're going to have your own private online retreat to reawaken the goddess within. So everything you've learned in Flirt Like a Goddess, guess what? By May, you're going to need some tweaking because you'll have forgotten some stuff. So I decided to offer a special bonus just for you women. Now, another thing to say, early bird, I have 2 other bonuses in Single to Soulmate that are good until Friday night midnight, and it's access to my 2 top selling courses, which is Attract the One and Conflict to Conscious Communication, because there's so much more I could teach you, and you'd have lifetime access to those courses as well. So I will drop in the link right now if anybody is inspired to go check it out. Now, as far as Flirt Like a Goddess goes, we still have 3 more weeks of free classes. If anybody has any questions, I know there's a delay right now. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in. You've still got me for a couple more minutes. Otherwise, if questions come up between now and next week, post them in the Facebook group. Just tag me at Emerald Sinclair. You, of course, can use the hashtag Flirt Like a Goddess, so I understand, like, okay, this is what you're referring to and not some other program that you're enrolled in. I never know how long to wait because then there's a delay. But if not, if we don't have any other questions, we covered a lot of ground here today. And so you've got an entire week to put into practice everything we learned, to write down any questions you might have, to share in the Facebook group any wins. Like maybe you went an entire day just being in your feminine energy. You just spent all day Saturday just going with the flow, meditating, and just whatever you felt inspired to do, you did. Right? So share wins like that in the Facebook group because that's freaking juicy. And all of us women need to hear that and remember the amazing benefits of just being in your feminine energy and being receptive. So let's all hold each other accountable over the next week to truly practice being in our feminine energy and being receptive and noticing how much more actually happens in your life when you're receptive versus when you're trying to control and do. All right. Well, that's it. I don't see any more questions coming in. So I bid you adieu.